It's finally here. Hey there, what's going on? It's your good buddy, head of section, Joseph Darlington, and this is Being James Bond with a very exciting announcement. Being James Bond Volume 2 is officially a thing that exists. This book is out and available wherever you are. Actually, take that back. It is literally online and available on Amazon in the US, and if you're in the UK or anywhere else, I think there's a little lag. But in the next day or two, you should be able to get this on Amazon. And yeah, boy, your good buddy head of section is tired. I have quite literally spent most of 2025 working on 2 books. And this is the second of the 2. Obviously, the first being the rework of Volume 1. And by the way, fun fact, Volume 2 is a little bit thicker. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's a bit thicker than the first one, which sort of explains why I felt the need to go back and rework Volume 1 so that these 2 would sort of make more sense side by side. I will tell you a little bit about Volume 2, and then I will tell you about the launch, which is happening in London, England in 2 weeks, which I am wickedly excited for. Quite literally probably the first travel I've done in quite a few years now. I think possibly since the pandemic. But Volume 2, it's here. And it's 15 years in the making. Again, the first one was 15 years ago. So I was very happy, excited to get back to my roots and get back to exploring all the things that James Bond competently displays expertise in. And again, the whole concept of being James Bond is that there's a lot that this man knows, and my fascination has always been, can one man know these things? Is that a thing that one man can do? And my answer is yes, and we can learn all of these things. And so the format, the selection of topics is very similar to the first one, kind of one from each category. In this case, I got 2 because there's 2 travels in this one, by the way. But they still follow that same basic format. If you don't know anything about this subject, it speaks to, there's a dummies version of it. So then it moves into the more intermediate and then finishes up with some more advanced technique, again, depending on each topic. And all along the way, it keeps in mind, how does this connect back to James Bond? If James Bond talked about it, said things, did things, what did he mean by that? And the subjects: blackjack, golf, traveling to Paris, food and wine, skydiving, traveling to the Bahamas, riding a motorcycle, and sailing. Again, still fits very much in line with Volume 1 in its selection of topics. So you'll start to see the method behind the madness. In fact, one of the things that I sort of said after I did the first one was, I think people might have sort of picked this up and saw a handful of topics and thought, well, that's kind of audacious. You're going to tell me to learn a handful of these James Bond related topics and then I will be James Bond. But now that you see the 2 books side by side, I think you'll start to understand the method behind the madness. Again, the whole point is that there is no shortage of things that James Bond knows how to do. There's plenty to keep us busy. So again, now you have this many more topics to go through. And hopefully it's an enjoying read, and it's, again, easily absorbed, which is sort of the goal throughout all of these. And again, I'm very excited to be finished with this one and thinking about, well, what will Volume 3 look like? But that is a conversation for another day. But how are we going to launch Volume 2? Well, we're going to launch in London, England, which I think is incredibly appropriate for this book, on October 11th. And we're going to celebrate as part of David Zaritsky's Gatherall, which, again, is going to happen on October 11th from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at a place called the Morpeth Arms, which looks pretty awesome. The room that we're in is called the Spying Room. And I have to tell you, when I first heard this, I had visions of like green lasers and, it's about spying and it's like a little, but no, look at this place is really cool. I mean, look at this. I'm very excited that we're doing this here. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be my first gather all, by the way. The first gather all overseas, rather. And I know they're hugely popular, so I'm very excited to be there and be part of it. Also with us is going to be Martijn Mulder, the incredible author of On the Tracks of 007. You know it. I referenced that book so many times in here. It's the Bible of exploring James Bond locations. So talk about being in good company. So I'm very excited that Martin will be there celebrating 20 years of his book, which again is an incredible piece of work. Some people have already asked me, is it possible to reserve a book? Because I know that there are a lot of things happening on that Saturday. Again, this is the night before the Cue the Music concert, which is going to be insane. So I'm so happy that I'm going to this. You've heard me rave about Cue the Music for a long time now. So I'm way overdue for a concert. I'm very excited about going. So that Saturday will be chock full of activities. People have asked, can you set a book aside for me? I don't think that I can. I'm still I'm going to be going really crazy that day, and I'm going to be kind of winging a lot of things. So it's going to be kind of crazy. But if you are worried that you will not get a book, please just check the Amazon UK site and pick up a copy, and please bring it with you. So that way you'll have a book in hand, and I would love to sign it for you. So and again, thank you to the people who asked. Thank you for the interest. So please don't miss out, and please grab one off Amazon UK. So I think that's it. I think that is all I can tell you about without getting carried away about Being James Bond Volume 2. Again, I think you will enjoy this very much. There is a foreword by Dave Zaritsky in here, which I think you'll find interesting. And by the way, thank you, David, for that. And again, thank you to everybody who is mildly interested in this topic. Again, it's funny, some people write books because they want to get rich, and I sort of joke. I say, if I was trying to get rich off of this book, I wouldn't write a book that is targeted at a niche portion of a niche market It's a very small section of us that find this stuff really interesting and fascinating, and again, want to actively live a little bit more like James Bond. So again, to you, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate that, and again, for all the people who reached out. So I will see a lot of you on the 11th. I'm very excited for my buddies in the U.S. I will definitely do something here at some point too. We can get books signed and all that good stuff. So thank you again for your interest. And guys, I'm your good buddy, head of section, Joseph Darlington. Can't wait to see a lot of you in 2 weeks. Really jazzed for this trip. It's going to be an incredible weekend. So thank you again in advance. I will see you shortly. And as always, keep living like James Bond.